everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Business Beyond, the weekend video where we pick an important business topic and we speak about it in a little bit of more detail. Today, my focus is about the Sri Lankan economy and the IMF. Now, we hear all the time how IMF stipulates conditions, rules to Sri Lanka and how we need to adhere by them, pay back those loans, etc. Now, mind you, IMF is one of the biggest lenders to Sri Lanka. In fact, in 2020, our debt commitment was somewhere close to 5 billion USD, which obviously now, given the current situation, has been restructured. Now, how did we get here? It's easy to understand this if we look at Sri Lanka as a bad finance institution. That's right, one which owes a lot of money to depositors, but at the same time has no way of earning any new money unless new depositors will put some more money in. But if you are a new depositor, will you put money into a finance company that you know owes so much money to other parties and has no way of raising that? If you know that all the money you put in is going to be used to pay the previous depositors, will you give money to that finance institution? I doubt you will. That's the same problem here. Countries, other investing bodies and even lending bodies are reluctant to give new money to Sri Lanka because they know the main focus is to pay back IMF. This is where we need a better strategy and a better policy. Now, I'm not blaming the IMF. Obviously, if you are a lender and you have given money to a country, and if that country has no proper plan, then you will force that country to raise the taxes and pay you back the amount that they owe you. Now, what Sri Lanka ideally needs to do is to speak with the IMF and tell them, look, give us more time, be patient, we'll pay you back, and present a proper plan to new investing bodies, new lending bodies, new banks, and tell them, look, give us more money because the money you give us, we will be using to pay, or rather we will not be using that to pay IMF. Instead, we will use that money, invest in these key industries, and from the returns we get from that, we will pay back IMF and we will also pay you back. In other words, we need a sustainable plan. Raising taxes just to keep paying the ones who have given us credit is not a sustainable plan. So, ideally, if Sri Lanka can come up with a better plan and say, look, give us money, lend, invest, we will take that, invest in these key industries, could be maritime, could be certain things like tea, could be apparel, could be IT sector. We'll invest in these key strategic industries, and then from the returns of that we will settle you and the IMF. This is what we need. Otherwise, just raising taxes is not going to really help. And over the past so many months, I would say years, the focus has been to raise taxes and just pay back IMF. That's why although our taxes have gone up in millions of rupees, the percentage of tax spent on welfare has stayed constant, somewhere around 16 to 17%. Now, there's also a concern here about debt to GDP. We all the time hear how the government wants to bring down debt to GDP ratio to a lower level. Now, to a certain extent, this is stipulated by IMF, but at the same time, it's not always a wise thing to be doing. If you look at developed countries like US, Canada, France, their debt to GDP is somewhere more than 90%. That means almost the amount of GDP they're actually borrowing, but they invest that. And they keep investing that money into their economy, and as a result, they grow the economy. That's why Maldives is growing at more than 6%, India is growing at more than 6%, Vietnam is growing at more than 7%, Sri Lanka somewhere around 3%, 3.2%. Not good signs at all. So understand this concept. Right now, that's where we are. We are like a bad finance institution which owes a lot of money to outside parties, but no proper plan on how we are going to have a sustainable economic growth, sustainable industries that will give us returns which we can settle the previous lenders as well as any new lenders we are trying to attract. I hope you understood the concept from this video, and I'll see you on Monday with the Global Business Update. Have a great weekend.